So, we are learning this evening the Dvar Malchus from the Rebbe from Pasha Sovei Toshin Nun Aleph. And the learning is taking place in the Beis Knesset Atzmut Tzedek Be'ir HaKodesh ובתוכו העיר העתיקה בעיר הקודש צפת, Eretz HaKodesh, and this evening is Yom Chamishi בערב עיר לקוף Elul Toshin Ayin Chet. And so we welcome everybody to the class, and we wish ourselves that it should be b'hatzlacha. Amen. B'havonas oimek inyan shel Rebbe. Amen. So the Rebbe begins at Leyacha HaParsha Shebo Mitzvah HaTorah Al Mitzvahs Bikurim. Immediately after the Parsha at the beginning of the Seder, which tells us of the mitzvah of bringing Bikurim to the Beis HaMikdash, Mishacheses HaTorah Bariches, the Torah pays attention at great length, the Klolos Kiyum HaTorah mitzvahs, Shenitztavu Am Yisrael, that there's a whole big arichas from the Eretz Shlishi and further to the end of the Parsha, not so much with mitzvahs, specific mitzvahs, individual mitzvahs, but with the whole commitment of the Jewish people, even clearly to the Klolos Torah mitzvahs, and to all sorts of warnings and azoras on the part of Hashem, which indicate possible negative outcomes if we don't keep the Torah, v'chulu, and that's called the inyan of a bris, kloli, like it's written at the end of the Teichachol, which is also part of the azoras of klolos ayadas. It's written, Ushamatem as Divrei HaBrisa Azois, that the whole Teichach, with the whole arigas of Moshe Rabbeinu's rebuking of the Jewish people is part of the whole commitment and entry in to a deeper and more absolute obligation to all in honor of the Torah. I call Boivim Kloli towards the end, after mitzvahs Bikurim and mitzvahs Vido in Ma'aseres, then we get on to all these klolistic statements. V'oi, says the Rebbe, furthermore, me'agav kol prote ha'torah, koilo seida hadvarim, heim meduyokim betakles. It's well known that the Seder in Torah itself is Meduya B'Tachlis. Everything that comes early or later or within one inyan is mentioned prior to another, then that has an amazingly specific kavanah to it, that everything is B'Tachlis Hadir. Yesh lahasik mikach, and we have to draw the conclusion from that, Kayam Kesher Hadur, that there must be a very, very tight and intimate Kesher between mitzvahs Bikurim L'Klolos HaTorah. Since mitzvah Bikurim comes before all these Klolos Inyonim, but again to the keeping of the Torah and the warnings and the rebukements that can follow, which are called a bris, a special bris, when they get to the keeping of the Torah, then that would imply that since mitzvahs bikurim is mentioned right at the beginning, and then that is immediately followed by all of these rebukements and all these arousals benegir to klolas HaTorah, or that would imply l'choira that there's some connection between bikurim, yesh kesher hodu bein mitzvahs bikurim l'klolas HaTorah. From that it would imply that mitzvahs bikurim, even though it appears to be a specific mitzvah, we have to say that it's a mitzvah that is shayach and connected intimately with the whole of Yadus and the whole of Yiddishkeit and the whole, as it were, commitment of a Yid, both individually and as part of the whole cloud, to all of his Torah mitzvah. So therefore, says the Rebbe, mitzvahs bikurim mishakevas b'toichol. What that would imply, that mitzvahs bikurim is not only connected to all these things, but it holds within it, and it, as it were, reflects inside itself, es mahus kiyam ha-mitzvahs kulam, that the whole etzem concept and the inner essence of what it implies, keeping mitzvahs, is hidden within this mitzvah of bikurim. That's what we have to assume. So we need to understand how does that work. So the Rebbe says, "Vadova derish bia." L'chera, to say that mitzvahs bikurim, as it were, is a bind-up of the whole klolas of Yiddishkeit and the commitment to Yiddishkeit, and that, as it were, the very essence of keeping Yiddishkeit is expressed. That needs an explanation. He says, "Al pono." Mitzvahs bikurim, eine ela mitzvah prati asacha. If you just look at it on the outside, if you just glance at the appearance of mitzvahs bikurim, it looks as if it were only a specific mitzvah, just like all the other taryag mitzvahs. Each of them have their own specific inyan. So it would appear that that's the case also with bikurim. But adrabah, and even on the contrary, mitzvahs bikurim musneis b'hagboris rabbis b'yachas l'shar ha-mitzvahs. The mitzvahs bikurim is conditioned, musneis from lashon t'nai. It's bound up with all sorts of conditions, and those conditions are limiting. B'hagboris rabbis b'yachas l'shar ha-mitzvahs. In connected with certain other mitzvahs, for example, mitzvahs tefillin, for example. Mitzvahs tefillin is a choivus, a group, wherever you are. I feel if you're in Madagascar or wherever you are, you're chayiv in mitzvahs tefillin. The same with tzitzit. But when it comes to bikurim, bikurim has many, many limiting conditions to it. For example, Sharei Eina Mishkayemas Boyim Kabua. It's not something which we keep on a fixed basis. Ela Tluya B'Mokem Mesuyam. It needs Eretz Yisrael. If you're not in Eretz Yisrael, then you're not Mechuyev B'Bikurim. Ubizman Mesuyam. You can only keep mitzvahs bikurim from Chag HaShavuos until after Sukkot. But that's considered a time of product and growth in the crops and in the fruits, etc., etc. Only during that time. If you bring bikurim after what's called Chanukah, after the end of Tishrei, the question is whether that's another expression referring to another inyan, or whether the word Chanukah means actually Chag HaChanukah. Well, there's a question about that that's going on, that Rabbeinu HaKodesh, he didn't, because he was from the family of David HaMelech, he was not pleased with the Chashmonaim, that Rabbeinu HaKodesh, the Ramban brings it down, because they took over the Malchus Yisrael. and they were Levium, and they weren't supposed to be kings. Only Shevet Yehuda was supposed to be. And they took over the kingship. So Rabbeinu HaKodesh didn't teach. So there's a lotion in the Mishnah before he mentions Hanukkah. And that's unusual that he would do that. So therefore some people say that Hanukkah is referring to another day, not to our Hanukkah. But anyway, once you get to Hanukkah, whatever that means, after the end of Tishrei, somewhat into Cheshvan, it would appear. After that you can't bring, you can, but you don't read, and you don't have all the pomp and splendor. You can bring the Bikurim if you want, but you can't read the whole thing with the, and have the whole, ceremonious welcome and so on. So therefore he says, it's also Kasher Beis Hamikdash Hayakayim. It's only when the Beis Hamikdash was standing, V'kein Hagbolas Neisofei. All sorts of other Hagbolas. For example, you've got to own karka. So you've got to be a Baal karka. You have to own a certain amount of karka, head-coat land, so in order to bring Bikurim. And also, it's got to be good karka. It's got to be in the best area. For example, if you have a field up on a mountain that's hard to get to and doesn't grow very well because it's very steep and all the water runs over it, then you're not mechuyev. Even if you have a fruit from that field, you're not mechuyev to bring. It has to be a karka mishubach, how do you call it? A very praiseworthy karka as well. Yeah. In other words, you have to be a balabas, you have to be a choshev balabas in order to bring bikurim. So the Rebbe says all sorts of hagbolas. How is it then possible? Lirois b'mitzvahs bikurim yitzug shel hamitzvahs kulam. How can we see in mitzvahs bikurim a representation of all the mitzvahs, and not just a representation, but like a inyan mahusi in all the mitzvahs, when there's many mitzvahs which are much more general in their scope than Bikurim. Bikurim is a very specific inyan in certain hagbolas, both in time and in place and history, and all sorts of inyan. So the Rebbe says, "Kamokei yesh lahovin gam b'neger l'shem haparsha." We also need to understand another point connected with all this, and that is that the name of the parsha is Tovei. Now it's interesting, is the name of the parsha Ki Tovei, or is it just Tovei? Yeah, so the Rebbe writes in the Sikha that he was Beidik in many Chumoshim. That's the Rebbe writes. He was Beidik in many Chumoshim, and he said, Kimat b'kol Chumoshim, both B'Sfarad and in Ashkenazi, he said it's just called Tovei, not Ki Tovei, but Tovei. Well, that means that the whole parsha is called to come, to come in. The word Tovei means to enter. Sheki Yadua, and as we know as a general rule, that Shmo shel kol parsha, that the Shem of the whole parsha, Mivatei es Toikna HaKloli, that the name of the whole parsha, something all right?
Everything's good?
Yeah, fine.
The name of the whole parsha, or that is, it gives out the Toichan of the whole parsha. In other words, that so great is the Hashgacha Pratias, when they get to the names of the parshas, that they express the inner content of the whole parsha. So that would tend to imply that the word Tovei, when you come and enter to Eretz Yisrael, that's like expressing the content of the whole parsha. And however, if we look at when you come into Eretz Yisrael in reference to Bikurim, Rashi says right on the spot that you don't actually keep the mitzvah of Bikurim until they conquered and divided up the whole land. That was a long time. So why is it Ki Tovei indicates the whole parsha. It wasn't immediately they came. It was a long time after they came that they kept a lot of the mitzvahs, including Bikurim. So it follows Lefizeh that coming into Eretz Israel is only a beginning of everything you're supposed to do in Eretz Israel. Finally, you have to conquer all the Goyim, and you've got to split up amongst all the tribes. That took a long time.
14 years.
Yeah, it took 14 years. Never Torah is only just a necessary hachana. You have to be there in order to start. But why should the whole parsha, including the whole Inyan of Bikurim, why should it all be called Tavoy? Keitzad yesh lahovin. We need to understand Keitzad b'milas Tovei mitbatei toiknes shel mitzvahs Bikurim. V'shar mitzvahs ater. How is it the word Tovei, which is only a preparation, that has in itself and expresses all the mitzvahs? He said, Haloi habia ha'kanisa le'eretz Yisrael eina ela hachona v'hakdoma l'kim ha'mitzvah. You can't start doing anything until you get in there, so you've got to go there. Once you're there, then there's all sorts of conditions. Yeah, come up. The word Tovei doesn't seem to really tell us anything about the whole Torah of the parsha, which has got to do with Bikurim and with all the mitzvahs, warning us about all the mitzvahs. That Tovei doesn't seem to give that out, Beklal. Hamatchil liyacha hakanisa la'oretz Yisrael. All the mitzvahs and the kiyum of all the mitzvahs, that only begins after you've already come in. The keeping of the Atzma mitzvah was later. It wasn't when it came in. So why is the whole parsha called Tovei? Doesn't seem to have to do. Not with Bikurim and not with the Klolos HaBrit on all the Torah mitzvahs. So therefore, says the Rebbe, Ainen Yuvan, we will come to appreciate this whole idea al pi bia inyana hamiyuchad shel mitzvahs Bikurim. Says the Rebbe, since Bikurim is the beginning of the whole parsha, and later that's connected. And just by the way, it's very important to notice that at the end of mitzvahs Bikurim and at the end of Sheni, but really the beginning of Shlishi, where he's starting to talk about all the mitzvahs, Kulan, Rashi says that there's a hint in the pasuk that if you brought Bikurim this year, that Kila, there's a bus call goes out in the Beis Hamikdash, and it says you should be blessed to come next year and bring Bikurim next year. So from that we see that after we've been through all the mitzvah of Bikurim and Viduim mitzvahs, and we're already starting to talk about the klolos of all the years, all of a sudden Rashi refers back to the Bikurim, and he said there's a bracha that you will come back the next year. Well, from that is a very clear indication that the mitzvahs Bikurim is a big klal, like both before and after. And by the way, Yesh Leima, that is the source of the minhag, that there's an old minhag, particularly during Chodesh Tishrei. If you meet up with somebody doing one of the mitzvahs during Tishrei, for example, with his lulav, particularly on Simchas Torah, whoever gets the Sefer Torah to make a hakofet, there's an old custom in Yiddish that you go up to the person and you say to him, "Sollst überleben ein Jahr und weiter." You should live over a whole year and come back to the same mitzvah. You understand? Yeah. So it's an old custom.
So maybe we can bring you Bikurim and you'll give us a bracha.
So in the Bikurim,
bring Rav Gafni Bikurim.
A bus call went out and said you should be zoicha to come back next year. Yes, and that seems to me to be like a mokia of that minute. You understand?
Yeah.
It's a very amazing thing. Yeah. People were very morbid. I saw the Russian Siddim that I've met over the years were very, very particular about that. That if they saw you, for example, in Bnei Brak, there was a few years when I was young that I was there, had to get a Calabrasig. In those days, it was very rare to get a Calabrasig. Nowadays, if you got a bit of that, you can get one, you know. You say, I already put a shim, I already got mine, I already purchased a nice one. But in those days, I had a connection with a certain guy, that he had a connection in Italy, and he used to bring Calabria Shrigim, and I had the first choice. I had a kiss with this guy, and so people used to come to my house early in the morning. I had to get up very early, because people like the events early. I had to be ready in my sukkah with the people would come in. Because all the people who had ever been in Russia, after they would finish dancing on the lulav, they would say, Be'ez Hashem Ibrayom, mit Mashiach or whatever, but they would say, Be'ez Hashem, we have to come back next year and do it again. So, and upon him, says the Rebbe, let's examine what is the special inyan of Bikurim. So he said, the whole simple understanding when you first glance at it of the mitzvah of Bikurim is Sheva K'hoidua L'Hashem Ala Sheva Shehu Manik LaYudi. The whole in Bikurim is like a thanksgiving, a giving up of a great thanks to Hashem for the shefa that He sent you from heaven, and He's given you as a free gift. You know, He's not mechuyev to give you anything, but He's given you all that you need. You have beautiful fruits and everything. So that's like the inner message of the mitzvah of Bikurim. So the Rebbe said, Be'etzem Nasina Sheva, or the giving of a praise. Oh, that's it. Come in and join in. Be'etzem, the giving of praise to Hashem, Uyesod Kloli B'chayei HaYudim. Giving thanks to Hashem for all His good things is a very central fundament in our whole life as Yidden. And therefore, if you look at what do you do in the morning when you get up before you even wash your hands or anything, what do you say? You say, Moedei ani lefanech. What is Moedei ani lefanech? A praise and a shiva to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that He's returning you in the Shoma, and He's making it possible that you're able to face another day and carry out all that you're supposed to do. Yeah. Oh, Mela, that's part of the general thanksgiving to Hashem. And just by the way, it's brought down in Sudas that Moedei ani is mitzad echad, a very simple thing. Of a mitzad hasheni, it's a very, very high connection with Hashem. That precisely because you're not holding by anything yet, you're still, before you haven't got out of bed yet, you're still washing. There's how many is, of course, to wash alongside the bed. Is that before you've gone anywhere, before you started anything, or that connects you with Hashem's essence, that links you up with the Infinite. That's a very high end. However, he said, therefore, when a Yid is come, when he wakes up from his sleep, that's a thanksgiving to Hashem. He said, in Shachris, if you look at it, there's many thanksgivings to Hashem for all He gives us. He doesn't bother to reckon them all out, but if you look all the way through the Tefillah, in Yevorei Dov, for everything that you've given us. You follow? The Rebbe said that's in Davening. And then he said all the brachas that you make, brachas which were fixed by the Rabbanan. Whenever you eat anything, you thank Hashem before you eat, that He gave it to you. That's the simple pshat of a bracha. And that's midrabanan. But there's birkat hamazon, a big long bracha if you happen to wash. For a meal, then you make birkat hamazon, And Birchas Hamazon is a thanksgiving and a thank you to Hashem that He's given you all that He's given you. Aber mehr kommt ist that the whole thanks to Hashem is a very basic activity of a year during the day. So ask yourself the Shaila in Cain, what is so special about Bikurim? That's just another detail that would appear in the whole framework of a year the whole time, being busy thanking Hashem. L'chaim.
L'chaim, l'chaim, bracha.
So therefore says the Rebbe, V'chein halua, in many different ways where Makam that in. So he said, Afila Eitzel Umas O'ilon. Oh, here's a very interesting thing. The Rebbe brings in the Sikha. I once heard from, I think I mentioned it the other night, I once heard from Leibel Groner. You see, Leibel Groner, I had a bit of a sort of, in the old days, I had a bit of a pull with Leibel Groner. What was the pshat? Because one of my mashpiyim and my teachers in Australia was Rabbi Yitzchak Groner. Yitzchak David. He was called Yitzchak David, Yitzchak David Groner. He was a most amazing person. And he was the Shliach Roshi in Australia of the Rebbe. And he was the most amazing person. And I learned from him a lot. I was very close with him. So, Yibodel Hula, Chaim Tevin, Leibel is his younger brother. Leibel Groner. So I used to have a kesher, you understand? So once Leibel Groner, on the first day of a year, well, 1st of January, it was one of the years, he went into the Rebbe's office, there was his moment to go in, and he went in, and put the letters on the table, began explaining to the Rebbe, you know. All of a sudden the Rebbe looked up to him, and the Rebbe said, Happy New Year. Yeah, the Rebbe said to him, Happy New Year. And he almost collapsed, you know, he almost fainted and made a somersault backwards. Yeah, so we see that the Rebbe, he wants to, wherever the Umas or Elon are doing something good, and if you really keep the New Year your way you're supposed to, not Shikaranza or something, but you really keep the New Year the way you're supposed to, then it's a day of remembering that, you know, we're starting a new year and it's all from Hashem. So the Rebbe said that Afilu Eitzel Umas O'ilon, even by the Goyim, Hamaminim B'Hashem, and they believe. It's written on the dollar, I think, no? Yeah. Still written?
Still written.
Yeah, it's written. Yeah, Hashem we try. Yeah? They believe in the Matthias of Hashem and that He can look after you. And therefore they believe that you should thank Hashem. Therefore they got a special day, what do they call it? Thanksgiving. Yeah? And the whole idea originally, nowadays it's probably become a bit, you know, so also a day for picnics and, you know, why not, but maybe sugar and a bit and all the rest of it. But originally it was meant to be a day of thanksgiving to Hashem. So there it mentions it. So he says, B'frat Adov Mudgash, yeah, and he said particularly the whole thing is very, very emphasized by the famous statement of the Baal Shem Tov. Yes, in his Boyer Alidei, Admor Zalman, the Alter Rebbe explains it. In Sharei Yuchat, the Alter Rebbe brings it down. Shabriya So'ilam, Alidei HaKodesh Baruch Hu, Eino Inyan Chad Pami, that the Eivester created the world. It's not a one-time thing. No, the Eivester, Habriya Mischadeshes, Pekol Regeva, and Yadur, that's a term from the Baal Shem Tov. Because the Rebbe indicates in a place that we could have really argued differently when we get to that. I feel I'll be still. Oh, but that's a Kabbalah from the Baal Shem Tov, that's the way it is. Be'emes, that every moment it's like a new hashpah from Hashem. As Kumtois, that every moment the world is being has been recreated. Yeah, Harei, says the Rebbe, b'vadai sheyesh l'hoidis l'Hashem. It's good that the whole universe is being created every second. That's like I told the story the other night. There was he had a hard time. But he said that he believes in him. Chadish b'tuvi, b'chol yom tomi. I mean, one day, 1 minute, the world the way it is now, it's not a proof like every the way it's going to be the next minute. But every day, every minute, it's a new world. So the Rebbe says, yeah, b'vadai sheyesh l'hoidis l'Hashem, v'even tmidi mi'oimek halayim. B'vadai, we have to thank Hashem from the depths of our heart. And the whole world. Yeah, in other words, there's an old saying, he's not mechuyev. the Eibishter, he's not mechuyev from one moment to the other to keep the whole thing going, and yet he does. He makes it now, and then the next minute, he makes it again. So you have to thank him. You have to say, Yeshua, yeah, Tamidi Me'emak Aleiv ala chesed atmini, Shuhu Mari Valeno, the Eibus is pouring down on his chesed every moment. So if you believe in thanking him for chesed, then you better get moving. You're going to start dancing every minute and thanking Hashem. That's what I heard from my mashpia, from my Baba, about this chesed that he had. In the middle of the day, he said every minute it's a new world. That's not the world he had in the morning. It's a new world altogether. So he was thanking the Eibus. Imzoi, says the Rebbe, the mitzvahs bikurim, regesh hoido el Hashem, na'alehu beyoter. So the Rebbe said, with everything we've said, however, he said there's an inyan that the thanksgiving to Hashem in the mitzvah of bikurim is na'alehu beyoter. It's very, very elevated, more elevated. He said there's something very unusual about mitzvahs bikurim that makes it different and greater in its hoidah to Hashem than the way that we do that hoidah in all the other mitzvahs. So what is that? So the Rebbe said, Yechudah shel mitzvahs bikurim hu bekat. The speciality of the mitzvah of bikurim is in this particular inyan. Shahakora zatui lahoda'osa shal Yehudi lahakori baruch ainli noiseras b'diba bilvat. He said, when you daven and you thank the Eibishter by davening and by biras hamazon and by all those things, it's all in dibur. As an old saying in Yiddish, red chain, he talks good. In other words, it comes out very nice in dibur, but it's bilvat. It's only in dibur. It doesn't go anywhere past dibur. That's a big Indian. Nobody's saying. So he said, Elabo af lamaisa. He said the mila about bikurim is it can't be Mekayim, mitzvahs, bikurim, without Maisa. In other words, you've got to get up and you've got to make a big posh arrangement. You've got to take a cow, you'll pull the cart. You have to dress up the cow and you have to dress up the bikurim. There's a whole big arenas in the Mishnah as to how they used to do it. And you've got to make a whole big parade, a whole big, what they call in Yiddish, a tratsk, a whole big, display of going out on the way to Jerusalem. And then when you got to Jerusalem, people used to come out to greet you, and they used to, be misameach, and probably they danced at the time. You had together with all the people coming in with the bikurim. So the Rebbe said that apart from dibur, it comes into the inyan of Meiser. And not just a Meiser, where you move it from one place in your field to another place, but you actually are Torah. The Rebbe says it's a emes of Torah. The man has to get the bikurim together, then he's got to put them all in a decorated card, and he's got to find the time to go all the way up to Jerusalem. Yeah, walking, not traveling in a jet plane or a helicopter or a spaceship. And he had to walk all the way up to Jerusalem. Yeah, Amaisa. היהודי לוקח את הראשונים שבפירתו, he takes the first of his fruits, מביאם לבית המקדש. He brings them all the way up to the base of Mikdash, nice on Hashem, and he gives them back to the Avis. He says, here, Avis, Amos, you gave me these fruits, but this portion of them, I'm giving it back to you. Yeah, for who is, well, it's all from you. So I'm showing my unbelievable commitment to Thanksgiving by giving it all back, as it were. I'm giving it back to you. And what is the pshat? Yeah, v'hi naktoi lifnei Hashem elakav. You have to put it down alongside the mizbeach, in front of the Eibush. Overkach, mivatei hayudi b'tzura oifen. Yes, our Korah, and it's brought down. The Rebbe mentioned that there's a whole piece from the Sefer Chinuch. You know, Sefer Chinuch from the Ben Aaron HaLevi. We don't know his son, but we know that he was called Aaron, and we know that he was a Levi. But more than that, we don't know. And he writes a whole amazing arichas. That when you go into your field and you see the first fruits, and here you put in so much effort and so much work into this, and you see the first fruits, what do you remind yourself? You say, hey, I put effort into this, but it's not mine. It doesn't really belong to me. It's all just Hashem giving me what he sees fit to give me. Of Amela, I have to take part of this, and as it were, return it to him in the form of a thanksgiving. That's how the so Kunda is the very seeing of your fruit, bearing the first fruit. Well, that leads you to the real conclusion that everything that we gain in life and everything we benefit from in our lives, it's really all from Hashem. It's all part of this amazing hashpah in a world which is itself a renewed world of everything. So it's all this amazing pleated and linked connection, one to the other. So the Rebbe said, "Be'etzem gam achrei shadov nitan lo yadayin hu nisha shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu." He said the truth is that even after Hashem has given it to you, well, that's what the Sefer Chinuch says. It's not really yours. He's given it to you in your field, but it's really his. Why? Because David HaMelech tells us in Tehillim that La Hashem ha'oret u'maloyo. Rashi says immediately on the spot over there, that's referring to Eretz Yisrael. Of Amela, La Hashem ha'oret. The whole of Eretz Yisrael belongs to the whole world of Eretz Yisrael b'miyuched. Amela kidei levateh hakol hazu. Maybe a Yehudi is a chelik harishon shel peireso lebeis hamikdash. Dear to him, he brings them to the base of Mikdash. V'heim naasim kekotchei hamikdash. The Rambam brings in the Mishnah, in Bikurim and the Koyim, they go out of being chulin and they kodshei kadoshim, but that's a korbanot. Over they have a din of kodshei. It's like underneath kodshei kadoshim. It's a second level. But they go out of being just every day, and they're no longer what we call chulin, and they become kodshei. So you've changed their whole status. You've literally given them back to HaKadosh. They go back into the ownership of Hashem, as it were. So therefore, Shleish Levushim Yesh Lanefesh. Says the Rebbe, there are three Levushim, three garments to the soul, which are brought down in Tanya, in Perek Daled, Machshava, Dibur, U'Maisa. So the Rebbe says, B'shamini hoidoah Hashem, in all the other ways that we thank Hashem, Adova nasa b'machshava, in our thoughts, Oye af b'dibur. In many cases it comes out to dibur. Achi seba mitzvahs bikurim, mizbata adova, ad the maisa bipoyo. So the Rebbe said, what is the big difference? What is the kilo, almost what we might describe as a ein aroch difference? Yeah, what is the difference? So the Rebbe said, when you have to do a thing by maisa, by poyim, and you've been Torayach, and you've brought it up, and you've changed it into Kotzei Migdosh, yeah, then that is something that is mevatei as a chadira shel ha'inem b'kol metziusei shel Yehudi. What happens is that thing goes into your whole Matzia. Since you have to do a Maisa B'Poyo, and it's well known that to get to Maisa, you have to make a very profound effort. It's brought down in the Pasuk Yeshaya Novi, L'Koidi or Barashi V'Yatzalti Afa Sisi. That to get into a Sisi is like a hefsek, up in the middle, because it's very difficult to get down and actually do something. Yet to hold certain things, that's easy. It's a bit harder, but it's also easy to talk. But to actually get it down into Maisa, and in a way that you have to be Torah and go all the way to the Beis HaMikdash with the parade, that causes that it goes in and it penetrates. That's the version the Rebbe uses, that it penetrates your whole Matziyah. How do you call it? Your whole Matziyah becomes swept up and involved in this inner. So that's a pretty amazing idea. So that's why it is that even though mitzvahs bikurim is a specific mitzvah, it's got all sorts of specific conditions to it, or there's something very clouding about it, that this is hoidoah Hashem, that takes over your whole mitzvah. For being such an amazing Maisa, but for you, it takes over your whole mitzvah. So that's one step in the direction of understanding how mitzvahs bikurim is a mitzvah Claudius. You haven't finished it. We're only just moving in. So now the Rebbe says, B'nai Yisrael, Heima bikurim shel olam. Yidden themselves are bikurim. In other words, that you as a Yid, you are a bikurim. If you're doing the mitzvahs bikurim because you are a bikurim of the whole world. Let's see how that works. Chazal or Imrim, our sages tell us, Shagam Am Yisrael Nimshalu Lebikurim, that Yidden are Nimshal to Bikurim. And Colossian Apostle, and they get this from Apostle, it's a Apostle in Hosea, where it's written over there, Ki Bikura B'Ta'eno B'Reishiso Ro'isi Aviseichem. That the Eibusha says to the Novi, Hosea, that I saw your forefathers when I first took them out of Egypt. I saw them like a first fruit of the figs, as he called it, the ta'ena, the reishisa, at the beginning of giving off of her fruits. Well, that's the way I saw your forefathers. And Bamela, since that was your forefather, that's the way every year has that capacity to meet that condition. He can also be like that. So from that we learn out that Yidden, and also, we say in Yirmiyahu, there's another verse which says, Kodesh Yisrael Hashem Reishis Tavosei. But Reishis Tavosei is like Bikurim, it's the first thing. So our sages learn from that Yidden are also like the Bikurim of the whole creation. And he says the Rebbe's going to bring a further proof from that, from the fact about the second Rashi in his Pirush HaTorah. Rashi said the word Bereishis is Beis Reishis, Bereishis, two raises. And then Rashi said, Bishvil Yisrael shenikroim Reishis, or Bishvil HaTorah shenikras Reishis. Of America, we see that the whole world is Bishvil Yisrael shenikroim Reishis. Of America, when that comes to it, that the Yidden are like they're the first fruits. Yeah, they're like the firstborn of the whole world. And not only that, the whole Bishvil means the reason for, they are like the fulfilling of the Kavanah in the whole world. Abamela says the Rebbe Mahusham shall Bikurim hu. What is the Mahus of Bikurim? Shahina Rishoinim, Yeshakodmu L'chol Shar HaPa'ilas. The Indian from Bikurim is brought down. Rashi brings it down also in the mitzvah, in the parsha. Rashi brings down that when a mensch goes into his field and he sees the first fruits, mamish, come out, he has to tie a rubber around that fruit, and he has to say, oh, that's going to be Bikurim. In Melakunta that Bikurim, they're the first mamish. They're like the Reishis, mamish kipshute, of all the fruit. And also, there's another din in the Mishnah, what it says, that when you have fruits or crops, you got all sorts of mitzvahs. You got trumas, you got maizer sheni, you got maizer, oni, and all sorts of, you got a whole series of mitzvahs. So it's written that Bikurim is the first one. Bikurim is like before all the others. As soon as you see something coming out, then that's already Bikurim. And the others, only after you've got a whole crop having come out, then from the entirety you take off truma or how do you call it, maizer, of Bikurim is something primordial to the whole thing. Yeah. So the Rebbe said because that's the whole inner mahus, the whole inner essence of the whole idea of Bikurim. And therefore he says, they are the first things which before all the other peidas, and therefore Bikurim is Lashon B'choya. The word Bikurim is from the word B'choya, and a B'choya means the firstborn. He's the first one, and therefore he's before all the other kids, and therefore he's got a special kovid and a special koyak, and it's due to him a double portion. He's like the first. So the same with Bikurim, they are the same thing. They are primordial to everything else. So the Rebbe says, Kamoi Kain Af Yisrael, so it is Yidden. They are the Rishonim Shekodmu, Ulamayla Miabrio. The Yidden are the first, how do you call it, Matthias, and they are before the whole creation. And one of the proofs of that is the Rebbe is going to bring now, but it's also well known. There's a famous medrash in Medrash Rus, actually, it occurs in Medrash Rabbah. It's written that when the Eibishter, way before he created the whole world, he asked to aid from somebody, should he go ahead or should not? With the Eibishter Kaviochel hesitated, should he create the world? So it's written that he took an aid from, who was it? Nishmoiseim Shel Tzadikim. Way back before the whole world, there was already Nishmoiseim Shel Tzadikim. And the Eibishter asked them, should he create the world or shouldn't he? Yeah? Was it, what was what? So what did the Tzadikim say? They said, yeah, he should do it. So the Eibishter said, yeah, but it's only if you guys are going to be behemoths Tzadikim. So they said to the Eibishter, don't worry, you can rely on that. Well, they said, Yidden, well, before the whole world, so much that the Eibishter asked them, what did they think? That's an amazing thing. Oh, but anyway, the Rebbe said it's written Mefurish in the Medrash, and it's also a Gemara in Masechta Pesachim. It's written that Heimer Rishonim Shekovia Machshavton Shel Yisrael Kodma L'chol Dover. That the Machshava that the Eibishter had about Yidden, that was before anything else. And so the Gemara brings in Masechta Pesachim and also in the Medrash, it brings down that there were several things that were before the world. But I don't know which was before which. And so it's written that the Torah was before, and then it's written that the Yidden were before. And it says, we also don't know which one. And then it's written that Machshavton Shel Yisrael Kodma L'chol. That the Machshava that the Eibishter had about Yidden was before everything. So the Rebbe's going to learn later on, I don't know if we're going to come to that tonight, the Rebbe's going to learn later on that from that we see that Yidden are really primordial even to the Torah. They're like higher than the Torah. And the whole Torah is part of the plan of the whole creation only because it will assist Yidden to do what they're supposed to do. And Hashem gave them the Torah in order to enable them to bring about their own over the machshava that Hashem had about the Yidden was even before the Yidden, they're like the whole Tachlit. And there's a famous sikha from the Rebbe in Parsha in Chelik Hey of the Likutei Sichas, but the Rebbe says over there that Yidden are like a aim all on their own. Everything else that the Eibishter created is all a medium to get to something else. And he said even all the high worlds, even Elam Atzilas, all of them are only in order to get to something else, to bring me to something else. He said, oh, but Yidden are not like that. Yidden, they are the purpose, that they are the aim of the whole creation. Not in order to get to something else, but they are like the aim of the whole thing. That's what the Rebbe writes over there. It's written, the Mishnah and the Gemara at the end of Masechta Kiddushin, they say that a Yid has to say, I was only created to serve my Creator. You can't say that serving the Creator is the kill of the aim, not you're the aim, you understand? So the Rebbe says, no, that's not the pshat. He said, why do our sages over there, why do they say, Ani lo nivreishe elo l'shamish es koini? You should have said, elo l'shamish es boili, or l'shamish es Hashem. Yeah, why is it l'shamish es koini? Koini means my purchaser, which means that you are an entity that Hashem has purchased you. Yeah, so once he purchases you, you become not just a Eved, but you become mamish, part of him. And therefore it's written, Yisrael and Kuchabriku Kulachad. Therefore Koini. Therefore the fact that you serve the Eibishter is because you're anyway like part of him. That's why you serve it. Not clear that you're a separate entity and you serve it. No, Atkidika. No. This is big time. This is, we haven't finished yet. I don't know about, well, I don't know about me, but you know, the Sikha goes on and just builds amazing things. So therefore, says the Rebbe, Machshavton Shel Kodma L'chol Dover, U'Kedivrei Chazal HaPasuk Bereishis Borei Elokim Ezo Shamayim Ezo Oretz B'Shvil Yisrael Shenikro Reishis Tavor. That was all for the sake of Yidden, that they're called Reishis Tavor. It's also written about the Torah. So the answer to that is that the Torah is for the sake of the Yidden. But the Yidden are not for the sake of the Torah. You follow? It's an amazing idea. The Torah is for the sake of the Yidden, but not the other way around. Evameli said, Reish was every Alkein Omer Chazal, Kol Echad Ve'echad Chayav loima b'shvili nivraho ilam. Therefore, it's brought down in the Gemara, and that's actually a Mishnah, Masechta Sanhedrin. Everybody has to say that the world was created for me. Or was it a pshat? That means you're a big mitzvah, the world was created for you. No. It means that you are the kavanah of the whole world. The whole world is waiting for you. We're waiting for you to get cracking. Because you are the tachlis of the whole creation. Kol Yehudi l'dat sheb'shvili bilvad ka'odam proti nivra ha'olam. In other words, the Rebbe says, some people might say to themselves, oh yeah, it was created for the sake of Yidden, so he'll take care of it. And in the meantime, I'll have a good time. So the Rebbe said, no, b'shvili is in Lashon Yochid. B'shvili means every year, every individual has got to say that the whole world was created for me. In other words, this whole amazing looking forward to the carrying out of the whole Kavanah by Yidden is not a plural thing, but it's an individual thing. Each and every year has got to say that and carry that out. And if you look in Tanya, Perek Nun Aleph, shortly after the beginning, that's what the Alter Rebbe says, that B'shvili nivra ha'olam, shekol echod ve'echod miYisrael chayav lo makach. The Alter Rebbe brings that. Aber Meiler kommt es lefi zeh. So the Rebbe said, Ma'afyen es mitzvahs bikurim. So the Rebbe says that what is so special, like we just said, about the mitzvah of bikurim, Havo'osom l'Hashem, you're bringing of them to Hashem. K'moi kein gam b'bnei Yisrael, habikurim shel ha'olam, mekuyimom hu b'beis hamikdash. Oh, what do you have to do with the bikurim? You have to take him into the base of Mikdash and put him down alongside the Mizbeah. So the Rebbe said that's exactly what every year has to say. I belong in the base of Mikdash and I need somebody to put me down in front of the Mizbeah. Somebody will give you a hoodie and they'll put you down in front of the Mizbeah. That all Yidden belong in front of the Eivester. They belong in the base of Mikdash, just like the Bikurim do. Yedachim Kain, says the Rebbe, what is going on here? Why is it that Yidden are not by the Eivester? They have to be in the base of Mikdash. How's that going to happen? Geula Mitzvah? Shlema. So the question is, what are we waiting for? Shalom Mu'ah. Avamela says the Rebbe, says if we come base of Midlifnei Hashem Elokah, Mishum she'af she'ayudi nimtza b'olam hazeh, b'guf gashmi, emas a Yid is in a body just like all the rest of the world, Ika mitziyu say, hu davka nishoma, the Ika is davka nishoma. She'nimtza is tomid lifnei Hashem Elokah. The nishoma is for sure always in front of Hashem, in the base of Mikdash. So he said, Tzarei neshoma, he chelek alekam mimah mamid, Yisrael v'kutsher b'richo, kulachad. So the point is that if your neshoma is always there, because it's lifnei Hashem Elokah, why? Because it's mamish a portion of the Eivester. The trick is to bring your body that it should also be there. So we're going to be poiled that mamish, the body should also go over and be pashtas lifnei Hashem Elokah. Amamela meyagav ha'kesher bein Yehudi l'Kodesh Baruch Hu kesher atzmi. Amamela kum tois lefi zeh that the connection of a Yid with the Eivester is a etzem. How do you call it? A very essential etzem thing. On Avem, it's an etzem mitziyuze. It comes from his etzem. The very Indian of what he is, a chelek elakar mimah, and he's the before of the whole world. Therefore, Yehudi v'Kodesh Baruch Hu hina mitziyas achas. The Bechoyer makes him into Huva Kutchabrico, Kulachad, Areish, Adova, Aina Mugbola, Iti Musuyoma, Mukadaima. Avamel, it follows Lefize that the panemius of mitzvahs, Bikurim, is not limited to any given place. The keeping how it was, Begufam Shalisor, was only Bisman based on Mitzvah. Of a mitzvah, the etzem panemius of what Bikurim represents, you are being Makayim by being a Yid and realizing that everything comes from Hashem and carrying out the Kavanah, because that's his Kavanah, that you are the Bechorim of the world, and you're the Bikurim of the world, and you are the Tachlis of the whole creation. That's any old place and any old time. It's not limited. Davkid to the base of me. Yeah, who also b'divrei. So what does that mean, Apoyo? Yeah, so the Rebbe said, a Yid container that I'm busy the whole day with my life. You know, what do you want from me? Yeah, I'm not able to keep Torah mitzvahs the whole 24 hours a day. Yeah, and therefore he says, Lo rak kasher, who also been only limited Torah kiyamah. Elohim mitshachis af linyone harushu shebahem who also. Even if you're busy just with ordinary things, but since you belong in front of Hashem Elokecha, and all your makshova, divro, maisa are very important because they're all part of Hashem and they're all essential to the whole creation. The Kumta is that you can learn from that whatever you're doing, wherever you are lifnei Hashem Elokecha, and that's where you really belong. Even you'll be very careful about your machshava, divra, and maisa, everything you do will have a kavanah, only to carry out Hashem's will of ultimately dira v'tak, taktoin. And who's going to make the dira v'tak? The neshamas in go for him. They are going to make it. So therefore he says, "L'nyon Yerushua, Yevelochein, Yesh lachakdia, Gam bohem kedusha." But even Hamerabi, in the most possible way, beyoisa becomes ubaydas. You realize that your mama is the center of the whole world, and Hashem is looking to you, and you belong really in the base of Vidas, so that'll make your Makshava Dibbo or Maisa different altogether. You'll be very careful of yourself, and you'll keep a very careful eye on what you're doing, because you're the Bikurim of the whole world. Yes? And the whole world is waiting for you. B'shvili, Nivrahon, Ha'olam. And that's all hidden in the mitzvah from Bikurim. And therefore that'll elevate you to be bound up to Hashem the whole time. Yisrael, V'kut Shabrichu, Kulachad. All becomes one entity. Kamusu Ba'edah. Shalei Afafasa, cotton beyonce, B'chai Yehudi, beyonce Shelet built in Nifrad, Me'etzem Chai HaYehudi, Shehinai Mo'eza Taklet, U'Mu'uchad B'Taklet, Sim HaKodesh Baruch Hu, Tzorich Liyos Matim, L'matzav Shel Bikurim, Anim Tzoyim Lefnei Elokecha, V'mele every Machshova, Divo Maisa, it's got to be Matim and appropriate to the fact that you are the Bikurim, and you are like the first born, and everybody's waiting for you. And therefore, and in addition to that, you find yourself Lifnei Hashem. That's where you really belong. If you realize all that, then you will be a completely different person. Everything you do will be just completely and utterly elevated to be worthy, to be one thing with Hashem in the Beis Hamikdash. Avamela therefore says the Rebbe, it follows from that even though mitzvahs bikurim looks to be a specific mitzvah, it's really embracing the whole cloths of what didn't know about and what are they doing in this world and how should they react to their lives in this world. And therefore, it sums up everything together. It's not just a individual mitzvah. So therefore says the Rebbe, it follows that Hiyosh Yehudi b'kol prote chayo u'b'klal Yisrael v'kutsh brichu kul echad, and every detail in your life in Cain makes you bound up one Matthias with the Eibishter, and you're like one part of Hashem. He said, Mishum kach yakayim hevdil basisi pein Yisrael l'shar habriya kula. Azim Cain follows Rafizah, that there's a very essential difference between the rest of the Bria and Yidden. Shabriya mahavakom oliyil em toy b'val. As we explained, the creation is only in order to get to something. The creation is a medium to reach an end. Yeah, Hashem u'b'shvil Yisrael. It's all there to serve the Yidden. V'lochein ein hi magir l'dagas lifnei Hashem. It's not lifnei Hashem. It's only in order to serve and to help those that they are lifnei Hashem. And who are they? They are the Yidden. Yeah, b'muvan shel pnimiyah. Lifnei Hashem is also Lashon pnimiyah. They didn't bound up with Hashem be'etzem. Therefore they're bound up with pnimiyas ratzaynai. Pnimiyas ratzaynai hu b'shvil shehem amatorah shel lishma nivra kolo. You know, as far as the Yidden are really, they are the emerson of Torah. That for them it's great, the whole world. Because that all the whole world is all only just to help you along and to help you serve the Abish and help you carry out making lifnei havai lekevna, making the whole world in front of Hashem, lefi pnimis retainai, and ultimately that's the independent good of Shlema. But in the meantime, that's the way you have to see yourself as a Yid, and that's the union of mitzvahs bikurim. Yeah, therefore, mitzvahs bikurim is nagir to the whole klal sinyan of Yiddishkeit, and it's nagir to the whole mitzvahs of Yidden. It makes sense to say that the world can't interfere with Yiddishkeit. Some people say, well, you have to be realistic, you know, and you have to go like the world goes. Well, that's all the Yetzer Hara. The truth is that the world can't possibly disturb you if you go the right way with a determination. Why could the whole world's only an emtsoim to get to you? Yeah. How's the old saying ever? There's no holds barred. Go ahead and carry out everything. It's understandable why all you have to do is say with emes, and the whole world will say, we want more.
Amen. Take care for me.
So that's what we can, that's what we can bring about for the moment. Praise Hashem.
Why is it why the mitzvah doesn't include the Hamas and Ben Odam, the firstborn? Why only the fruit? Why not the first animal that was born and the first human?
Because the Torah revealed to us, and the Torah is in order to reveal to us what we need to know. It showed us that without Rabbeinu Tamslim, you can't really bring certain moichen down into the creation. And you do need to bring them in order to be mashlim the Dir Elohim part of Batakta. You follow? That's the inner message of the Emunah of Torah in Torah Mitzvahs, that all those details are important in order ultimately to bring Elikus into the world. You follow?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's part of the whole Indian. That you got to realize that every detail in Torah is important because it helps you to make every detail important. That's the whole.
Wow.
Fine.
So it says here,
Page of Torah. How is it in the word Torah? mit Bezeugnis und mit Bikurim. How is it the word Torah gives out the whole inner message of the mitzvah of Bikurim? It's before you start the mitzvah. Torah is only just coming into the land, but you don't keep the mitzvah Bikurim a lot later.
Good.
So therefore, how is it that the word Torah is a general name for the whole party when it's only just a beginning?
Yeah, but it says in the beginning,
Huh?
is good comes before evil.
They just come into the land, they haven't done anything. It's just the beginning.
Rambam.
What about the...
We're going to...
Pretty well. And the first night of sleep, should have a good sleep. Should be a sin on the cemetery.
Take it, over there. Over there, under this there. No need it now.
Thank you very much. I think there's a Farbrengen before Slippers.
Yeah, no, that's on the first night.
Oh, you're talking about the next day?
It's okay.
Yeah, probably around 7:30. Yeah. Okay.
Moshe, you're going to New York? You're going to Canada?
No. Eretz Israel.
Baruch Hashem.
The best place.
Eretz HaKodesh. For all the Yidden, Bezrat Hashem.
Yeah, what is that?
No, come along.
There's a story about a guy who his father was connected.
Maybe it's better not to have that because it makes it so complicated. It's my
And when he was a boy, he met the Frierdiker Rebbe when he was a boy, and then he wanted to bring, when he got older, he wanted to see the Frierdiker Rebbe, and he wanted to bring him Bikurim.
Yeah,
on the other hand, the Mashiach may do that tomorrow, so we don't need any money at all.
I go on.
Maybe Matzliach.
A gift,
Right.
Yeah, but
to
it's
atone.
obligation. Maybe even don't have it, and the Kohen
So he was in Egypt.
Yeah, they
This
get
guy
it,
was
yeah.
living in Egypt, and he heard the Frierdiker Rebbe was coming on the train to come to Eretz Israel. He went to Alexandria. So he jumped on the train, and he had the Bikurim, and he gave it to the Frierdiker Rebbe.
all it's anyway, Baruch Hashem, all is good.
Unbelievable.
Whatever Hashem wants,
Unbelievable stuff.
comes to the table, yes.
Oh, Reb Zevin wrote these stories, yeah.
Kona maybe during the town, so the key of mitzvahs because
Okay. Benji.
I had to park on the top. Parked on the top.
I parked in the car.
I came down again and so I went round and I'm by the top.
you parked up there.
Yeah.
This is about the guy.
Parked down there.
No.
We'll make it. I'll lean on more time.
Baruch Hashem.
He'll help me out.
I will come down again, but there's cars that are
come with
parked. Tonight it's
Thursday
terrible.
night. A lot of people coming up for sleepers.
To squeeze through.
A lot of people come. The Mitzvah Shabbos is sleepers. So they want to be here in church.
Rabbi Gaffney, you made me realize what an amazing and wonderful and difficult responsibility we have. Just with the Indian of this, what you've said is like everything is dependent on us and we're dependent. But what a responsibility to uphold.
We have a tremendous, the Shvili Nivra Ho'ila is a responsibility. It's not just a,
And in a way, for the first time, I can actually understand in a way a little bit of all the tzoros we've had for the last 2,000 years is maybe we haven't been doing that responsibility, and we get the makah from Hashem because it's all bishvilanu. It's dependent on us.
So, ultimately, it boils down to the fact that the world is waiting for
Us to be.
right. That's what it boils down to. But on the other hand, it means that if you will really make a haklota, then you got all the help. Because he's waiting for you also.
Yeah.
So if he sees you want to get moving, then you're all part of him. You're all linked up with him. So his help is an almost automatic thing.
Riyut Eitana.
Okay, sorry.
No, sorry.
It's the truth.
I thought I did.
That was for
I have one? No. There's one.
Okay. Amen.
Shalom ben Rivka. Shalom ben Rivka. Shalom ben Rivka before Shlema. Abba.
Yeah?
Abba.
Shalom ben Rivka, where slave Mura,
Amen.
but Mehiras Rabba take him here.
Amen. Amen.
Fine.
Chaim v'chaim v'racha.
Amen.
Fine.
Before Shalom de Rivka. Bezrat Hashem, you know, before Shlema.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Eloheinu mizrach.
Amen. Baruch Hashem.
Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam, שהכל יהיה בדברו.
Amen.
You're going to ride that? Too far from the top.
Chaim. In America, they say that the U.S. mail gets through, whether it's rain or it's snow or it's sleet or it's hail, the U.S. mail, you could count on always gets there. So in Tzfat, we say, regardless of what's the what, Rabbi Gafni, he's always here. Chaim.
Fine.
Rain or shine.
He's always here for us.
Chaim Rav Gafni, a gesunte year for you.
Amen.
Gesunte year.
Stephen Hashem, I tell you
How are you feeling the records? I'm sure that the other night after the rain, I was serving food, I got an inch myself, and set me back. Takes time for that. It was getting better. Look at you. Food. At the end, everybody is walking on. Yikes. Walking into it.
Hebrew. Fine. And we gave to live up to Rav Gafni's expectations, Hashem's expectations.
So listen, in the light of what we've been living, this wondrous, absolutely mind elevating and mind sweeping sikha from the Rebbe. In the light of that, I'd just like to develop on a certain point just briefly, and that is that in our Yom Yom, he brings down for Chayel, he brings down a Torah from the Baal Shem Tov. But the Alter Rebbe gave over this Torah from the Baal Shem Tov, and if we look carefully at the background of the whole thing, then it's well known that in the year Tov Reish Nun Beis, the Rebbe Rashab had an Aliyah's Neshama to the yeshiva in Gan Eden, where they learn a lot of Torah. And he heard that the Baal Shem Tov was giving over a series of Torahs to all the big Neshamas in Gan Eden. Yeah, it was in Tov Reish Nun Beis. And altogether, he gave over 7 Sheva Torahs to the listeners in Gan Eden. And the Rebbe Rashab heard these 7 Torahs from the Baal Shem Tov, being an Neshama Shayach to this world, but he heard in Gan Eden, and so he wrote down the 7 Torahs that he heard from the Baal Shem Tov, the Rebbe Rashab. And the Rebbe has got numerous biurim on these Torahs that the Rebbe Rashab heard in numerous places in the Rebbe's Seichos. However, I want to be meticulous to these 2 Torahs which are brought in a Yom Yom, because they are the first 2 of the 7 that the Rebbe Rashab heard in Gan Eden. So, what is the Torah? It's written, V'hoyo ki sovei ha'oret, v'hoyo Lashon Simcha. When you will come into the sovei ha'oret, you will come to the rotzon. The word oret, the root word of the word oret is rotz. And rotz is the root word of the word rotzon. In other words, and that's what our sages say. Why is the world called Oretz, and why is the earth, and especially Eretz Yisrael, why is it called Oretz? Because it wanted to do the Eber's will. If Amela, it wanted, Lashon will. And therefore, the Baal Shem Tov said, when you will come into your Emes Rotzim, you'll come into, and you'll be privileged by Hashem to enter the Emes Rotzim. And that's Eretz Yisrael, that all of your Rotzim will be in Inyonim from Yisrael, from Yiddishkeit, from Torah and Mitzvah, you'll be Zecher to the Emes Rotzim. Then, what you have to do, you have to take all the payers, or not all of them, but you have to take the ratios of the payers, which they are the fruits of having come into such a rotzim, all the good things that you're doing, and you have to put them into a tenor. Now, a tenor was a container, but the word tenor is also a Rosh Tevas, the acronym of Ta'amim, Nakudas, and Oisias. But that means Beklal, the inyan the Oisias of the Torah. Oisias. So you have to put them all into Oisias, you've got to be able to express it, give it over to the world in Oisias that they will be able to preach. In other words, Oisias are Giloi. You've got to be Megala into the word. Well, and then it's written that you have to get up and go to the Mokim Asher Yivcha Hashem Alekecha. You have to go wherever Hashem will send you, and He wants you to go, and that's your shlicha, as it were. And then He says, to to dwell his name there. But the Baal Shem Tov said, that's already your business. You've got to go to that place, but l'shakein shmoy shom, you've got to do that. In other words, with all the good things that you've achieved, you've come into the will, and you brought that down into oases, and you're able to give it out and spread it into the world. He said, but you have to do it in such a way that you will cause that Hashem's name will come down in the whole place where you have to go. So we see from that, then we see two things. And there's a big development on that whole thing, both in the Yom Yom and in the explanation, so to say, for Yom Yom. Because it's one, as we said, it's actually two Torahs. There's two Torahs, there were 7. Also upon him, as we see that it's divided into 2, as it were, sections. First of all, you've got to come, you've got to enter into the will. You've got to get in yourself that you want to be involved in Elokus. You want to be involved in Torah and mitzvahs and all the Ratzon Hashem. You've got to get involved. And then you've got to realize that wherever you go, that you're sent there on a shlichut. You're going as a, whatever you go in this world, you're like a shliach. Yeah. But what is the ultimate tachlis? L'shakein shmoy. You have to bring down into the world Hashem's name. You've got to make the whole inyan of everything you develop, and everything you've been zocher to. You got to make sure that that's brought down into the world. You got to make it dwell and live in the world for all mankind, ultimately speaking, especially for the Yidden who are in that area. Of Amela, from that we see 2, as it were, fields, your own personal coming into will, which is a very high madriga. And then, once you've done that, you've got to make sure that the whole world around you, they also benefit. And you've got to bring Hashem's name into the world. So if you study carefully the whole inyan of Tomchei Tmim, this week was connected also with Tomchei Tmim, right from the beginning of the week. Yeah, we had his justice at Tomchei Tmim. Then we had the days of the preparation of the kitchen and everything. And then Chayel was the day that they began to learn in the Yeshivas Tomchei Tmim. So if you look carefully, you'll see the same thing. That the Rebbe said the founding of Tomchei Tmim was to make all the boys that learn, all the Talmidim in Tomchei Tmim, to make them Pnimia, and to make them, to make them Neiris Lahoya. In other words, but in order to be a Neir Lahoya, you have to have Shema. Kemuva in Tanya Perek one day. So you've got to become involved in all the inyanim of Tomchei Tmim and Be'ika and Avodas HaTfilah. The Rebbe wanted that Bochum should learn how to daven properly and to use what they learned in the Tfilah. Therefore, there were many oidim. Some of them oidim amitim, Bala Madrigas, in Tomchei Tmim. So, however, after that, 5 years later, in the year Tofrei Sam Beit, but that was the time when the Rebbe said the famous Sicha Beneger to bringing Moshiach. The Rebbe Rashab spoke about the union from Moshiach, and he said there are people who are coming up and they're making, as it were, war against Moshiach, that they're like battling against the whole influence of Moshiach in the world. And that's the inyan of Cherpu Ikvois Mishichecha. They're disgracing literally the feet of Moshiach, but they're like making a war, a struggle against him. So the Rebbe said that the yeshiva which he has founded, Yeshivas Tomchei Tmim, they will be those who will fight the war of Moshiach. and they will, they will beat all those who are trying to work against Mashiach and trying to, as it were, disgrace the feet of Mashiach. And he said, therefore, the Talmidim in Tomchei Tmimim to be called Chayoli Beis David. And he called the soldiers of the house of David, well, that's referring to Moshiach. As the one on, the Rebbe Rashab developed on it. There's an infant David and there's Beis David. Without going into the whole arenas there, although Choponim it's like two different Eifanim of the Gila of Mashiach in the world. Over Mela, we see that a few years after the Rebbe had created this amazing medium and this amazing Moised Kodesh of the yeshiva, where the Bochim were getting mamish into Pnimias and had the most amazing opportunity to get into this whole Pnimias in order to be Emerson Meir. So here, all of a sudden the Rebbe Rashab makes them Chayalei Beis David. Yeah, and the Rebbe took that up, and the Rebbe said that Chayalei Beis David is a Rosh Tevis Chabad. It was like a whole new. Well, yeah, the Rebbe says, the Rebbe's got a whole sikha about it. But the Rebbe says that with that sikha, that the Rebbe Rashab said in Samul Beit, Tokhrei Samul Beit, he changed, as it were, the whole nuance of Tomchei Tmimim without altering the Kinyan Pnimi of Kol Echad V'Echad, but at the same time making him a chayal to bring down Mashiach into the world. In other words, like we see in the Torah, the Baal Shem Tov, that first of all you have to come into the Rotzoin, but afterwards you got to be L'Shakein Shmoi Shom. You got to bring down the name of the Eibishter in the world. Wherever you are, you got to reveal the Elikut. So Ein Ochanami, he says, the Baal Shem Tov, that you can do it sometimes through simple things, not through huge things. Even if you say a capital Tillin, or you say a bracha with Kavanah, that's also. But the point of the Rebbe Rashab is that towards the end of the whole Tkufa of Ikvasa, the Mashiach, the situation is going to be massive. And therefore we're going to need a more massive koyak, but that's in your Mesiras Nefesh, Papoyo, on the part of those who are familiar and already have gained a great deal when they get to Yediyas HaTorah and Avodas Hashem, Al Pi Pnimis HaTorah, and bring that into the fight, and Ali Dezet to beat those forces which are trying to interfere with Mashiach. You follow? Ali Dezet, there will be the possibility to lead to the actual Gilei. And so nowadays, the Rebbe has taken that and he's developed a whole new concept in that idea, and that's Shluchim. The whole idea of Shlichus has become very, very to the fore. The idea of the Rebbe, in myriads of places in the Rebbe's Torah about the Shlichus and alle Yidna Shluchim, in order to go to all sorts of places and in a massive way bring down L'Shakein Shmoi Shom Alidei Shlichas von HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kipshutei B'Kol HaOlam Chayalei Beis David in the most amazing and mind-boggling way. And therefore the Rebbe has literally prepared the whole world for the Etzem. His scholars of Mashiach B'Poyam of we see it all began with the Chayalei Beis David. The whole switch occurred in an amazing sikha from the Rebbe Rashab. Of I told you the story that I met a Yid in Kachabab when I first came, and a few days after I arrived in Eretz Yisrael, going back a long time. And his name was the Rav Glasman. He was the father of Shalom Ber Glasman. is, and he told me how the Rebbe Rashab gave a hoirah that he should learn Yeridea, and he should afterwards learn what he called Choshen Mishpat and Even HaEzer, that he should mamish take out a Dayanut. And then, having taken out after being Matzliach in the test, and he was mamish, he had a Tudah, a Dayanut, all of a sudden he gets Yechidus with the Rebbe Rashab, and the Rebbe Rashab told him about a Rabbanut in the depths of Russia somewhere, which had become Panui, and he said he wanted that unser younger man should go out there and be the Rob. So he said to the Rebbe, he said, Rebbe Chob Moira, I'm afraid. And so he didn't mean he's afraid of being out in the depths of Russia. He meant he's afraid of the Achrayut, taking on himself the Achrayut. So the Rebbe Rashab smiled, a very beautiful smile, and he looked in his eyes and he said, so I should send somebody who doesn't have any more? Yeah, so that chicken einer was a hot nishkamoy. Yeah. Should I send somebody who's not frightened? Somebody who's not frightened of the Achrayut. So when he heard that, and when he saw the look of the Rebbe, he just said, Rebbe, when do I go? I'll tell you. And that's how his whole lifetime began. He went out to become a rower, way out somewhere in Virginia or West Virginia. And that's the way it was. That was the Indian of how Tomchei Tmimim merged into Chayalei Beis David. You follow? And that is the Indian from Chabad. Yeah? That you take all that amazing richness which Chabad has given you, and you give it to the world. L'shakein shmoi shon. It all begins with the Baal Shem Tov, and it goes through the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe said that you got to bring that back, that Mesiras Nefesh, and that Pshita. You got to bring that back and unite it with all the koichas, and that everybody should become learned in Pnimis HaTorah, and that will add and bring more to the Mesiras Nefesh. That's what the Chiluk of the Alter Rebbe was. Over the ultimate upshot is that you have to be a Tomim with all that, with everything that represents. Or you got to be, even when Chayalei Beis David, you got to go out and fight the struggle of Shua. Kol echad lefi hayocheles shalom. Everybody according to his capacity and his ability and what he has, what he can do. That's our task. Each and every one of us knows and can see how Hashem is showing him what he can do, what he can contribute to the whole L'shakein, Shmoi, Shon, whatever you are, to bring down the Gilead, of course, and to be from the Emissar Chayalei Beis David, and ultimately to be from the Emissar Shluchei Chabad. Ultimately, that's the ultimate title. And each and every one of us, it doesn't mean that you have to travel out to some part of the world. Right? It means that where you are, you act in such a way that you take part in the L'shakein shmoi shon, to bring down that amazing gift which you've been given of learning, Pnimis HaTorah, and bring it down into the world. And that's like the merging of Chayelo with the whole message of what we just learned now, the amazing secret from the Rebbe, that you are a responsibility. B'shvili nivra ha'olam. You are, Hashem is waiting for you, man. He's waiting for you to do it. He could do it, that's no problem. But he wants that you should do it, and he's made you part of him. So you've got all the koyches in the world to do it. Amir Hashem Shalom, at Katie Alam, and Mitchell on Moshe Shabbos, we're all going to stand in front of Hashem and say, listen, Eibishter, it's come the time to give the Yidden a good year as everything that's been agreed on, And what is the good year? Mashiach Tzidkenu V'Pel Mamin. Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi. V'Pel Mamis. And I think that the point has been reached. We didn't have the right to be a little bit, how do you call it, pushy. They have the right. They have well earned the right to say, Eivester, you know, we mean Mamish B'Pel Mamis.
All the Baal Tshuvas are going to stand with you, Rabbi Gaffney. We're going to stand up and say, we all became Baal Tshuvas with Rabbi Gaffney, and everybody that we want Mashiach, we want to go to the Farbrengen with you on Har Bayit.
Oh, man. I told him that he lives in Jerusalem, and he phones me up every now and then, and he says, Rabbi Gaffney said, I've already ordered 2 special seats. So I said, where are you going, you know? Are you taking your wife with you? He said, no. He said, I've ordered a special seat for you and for me. He said, I'm being very self-centered. He said, I have a seat for you and for me.
Tell him he's got to order 500 seats, not just 2 seats.
I said, but what about all the other guys? He said, let them worry about themselves. He said, but I've ordered 2 seats. That's what he said to me. So I'm a very willing buyer, you know. I bought the deal. So, Kenya Rotten.
Amen.
You had a very beautiful sort of Torah. Thanks, Hashem. And Mordechai Brown from Rehovot, he wrote me an email. Sometimes a guy gives you a bit of feedback, you know. It sort of, you know, gives you a bit of koyah. Not that I don't want to use a koyah, but he wrote me a beautiful email that he couldn't come all the way up to us, and he was busy enough, but he made a very special effort, and he watched most of the Farbrengen, and he said that it just gave him a tremendous chizuk, the whole thing. And he said he gained the whole picture, you know, that there was like a tremendous fusion of different identities, and that's what he writes me in the email. I don't know if he knows the whole background, but he picked up the vibe. Yeah. He picked it up. Very beautiful. I just felt so much better after reading that. And Bush, we have to be mamshi. We have to keep going and build this something that will be very, very taken me out.
Should only continue Michal.
Yishai for all the work that he does, and all that we owe him. And you should realize that Moshe Sperling, he understands these sort of things. And he says to me, that's very well done. It comes over very well. That's what my tongue he told me.
יש לו מאבא, נו? אין שם. יש לו מאבא.
ברוך השם.